accomplish today?
We went really light today. We had a hard day yesterday. Went really light, just to kind of go over what we need to continue to be as we move forward, knowing that we have some games in the next few days.
What's the latest with Shane Larkin?
Shane went through practice today. We did not do anything live, so I don't know that it's what that tells us, but he will make the trip. He will be with us, and I'll know more tomorrow. If he is available to play anytime in the next 2 days or probably a week, it's going to be on a very limited minutes restriction.
Coach, 23 games left. Are you still trying to, with so many guys in and out of the lineup, new players, are you still trying to figure out roles and rotations?
Roles are pretty simple, I think, from the standpoint of everybody has something that they do best that they bring to the table. I think sometimes we talk about roles in terms of minutes played and when they're coming in and those type of things, but when they get in, everybody's expected to do our system to the best of their ability and accentuate it with their strengths, and then from a minutes and rotation standpoint, that is obviously somewhat dependent on who's available, and inevitably that's just part of it as you go through the NBA year, but that definitely changes, groups that are playing together and those types of things.
You on Shane? Is everybody else good to go?
Everybody else is good to go. Smart sat out today with a thigh contusion from yesterday, but we're anticipating he'll be good to go tomorrow. And we sat Kyrie and Al out today, and that was pre-planned a couple weeks ago, just to come back on that Wednesday, go really hard, and let those guys have the next day off, especially consider they didn't have as much rest as everybody else.
Tell us about your two opponents. You played them before, but they've changed too. In fact, a whole lot of teams changed a lot.
Yeah.
Where do you see them coming? You're healthy, you're rested, just like you.
Yeah, and obviously Blake presents a whole different challenge when you talk about the Pistons. Drummond absolutely destroyed us in game one, and then we were better on him in game two. You add another all-star level player next to him. It's a heck of a front line. They've gotten a lot out of their wings with Bullock and Johnson since the trade, and then Ish Smith has kind of been their engine the whole time. So I think that obviously that's a team that has beat us once. We played a tight game there, and we're fortunate to win. It's going to be a really tough game tomorrow, no question. And New York has had a lot of personnel changes as well, most notably, obviously, bringing in Moutier to start at the point. So it's one of those times of the year where you got to focus on doing the best you can with what you do, because we have played about 4 or 5 teams now in a row that have been a little bit different than the first couple times we saw.
Jaylen Brown just talked about this, but playing with a sense of urgency. What are you looking to see from this team moving forward?
Well, our schedule is really hard as we hit this last home stretch of 23 games, and we're going to have to, and that's a good thing for us, because we're going to have to play with that kind of urgency. These are things that prepare you for what you ultimately want to be a part of down the road. And so, hopefully the hiccups that we had prior to the break, which were more due to who we were playing and how they played than necessarily us, but hopefully benefit us down the road with if we approach these 23 games the right way.
What do you notice from opposing offenses when Marcus Smart is on the floor versus off the floor?
I don't think people change what they do necessarily. I think that certainly he's a guy that gives you a little bit more switch ability than maybe a typical guard because of his strength. And then, I do think that if you look at one of the areas where we were not as good over the last couple of weeks, and that is just simply ball pressure. That's twofold. Number one is, he and Shane are very good at it. Number two is you have even less depth to do it. So it's hard to ask, if Kyrie's going to play 38 minutes a game, you can't expect him to pressure the ball the way that we would ultimately like to with more depth. And so, Kyrie and Terry have had to do other things for us to float, and that's one of the reasons why more depth is helpful, because it gives us more opportunity to change up who's guarding different guys, more opportunity for everybody to pressure the ball because they're all a little bit fresher.